Why do we send people to prison for being addicted to drugs? If you're in the US, it is because it makes money for the privately owned prison system and continues to fuel the narrative that being poor is a crime. I don't know, but I disagree with it. They should be sent to rehab while the dealers should be the ones put in jail. I'll answer the question very straightforwardly. We don't put people in prison for being addicted to drugs. The things they get put in prison for are the externalities of being addicted: purchasing drugs, stealing and assaulting people for money for drugs, possessing large amounts of drugs on their person. Being addicted to and using drugs by itself is not a crime. I can create an infinite amount of scenarios of situations that aren't someone's fault that isn't really unethical or illegal that becomes so because of actions they take. You can't just ignore the externalities because someone has a problem. If you phrased your question more specifically, like, why do we put people in prison for drug possession, then we're onto something. I think it started in America with the war on drugs. Weed was mainly smoked by Mexicans, so it gave racists an excuse to lock them up. Similar story again with African Americans, perhaps with different drugs. Then in the 60s with the counterculture and pushback on the war, these hippies couldn't be arrested for their opinions because of freedom of speech, but they could make the drugs they take punishable with time in prison and arrest them that way. Now we are very invested in the war on drugs, and because of all the propaganda to paint drug addicts as terrible criminals, any attempt to move from punishment to rehabilitation would look like being soft on crime. There's a war on drugs. Deaths occur on both sides, but only one side has the capacity to take prisoners. It's normally the associated crimes as opposed to just the addiction. Usually, people aren't arrested for being addicted. They are arrested for distributing or possessing drugs. People don't go to prison for being addicted to drugs. They go to prison for unlawfully possessing and using drugs, because it often leads to crime in order to fund the habit. Technically wrong. They are not sent to prison for being addicted. They are sent for possessing substances that are by law illegal to possess. The addiction is not addressed in any law. The good news? This is slowly not happening anymore. It's just inevitable that your body is yours. Could take a few generations, but it's going to happen. Making drugs illegal is actually a new thing in the timeline of history. Because of money and the fact a portion of the government and voting population are stupid and feel addicts should be punished instead of being given help. As if punishment somehow magically cures addiction. The same way they think it's the only way to solve crime as well. We don't. We send people who are addicted to drugs who also happen to commit crimes to fuel that addiction to jail. There's millions of people addicted to drugs who work normal jobs and pay for their addiction without committing crime. Marijuana, alcohol, nicotine, and prescription pills are more prevalent than heroin and meth. Because voluntary intoxication is not a proper defense for the crime committed. Having said that, I've seen relatively few cases in which their history isn't full of countless second chances. Free rehab. Terrible, but free. No one gets jailed for being an addict. They break the law to feed their addiction. Then they go to jail. Likely because they might be committing crimes to fund their habit. I agree that rehab is a better option, but I don't know if it's going to be successful if there's no willingness to complete the program. Letting them be. Becoming an acceptable part of a downtown street should not be something we accept or encourage. Somebody think of the children! Exclamation mark quote. Because it primarily affects minorities and giving them a criminal record helps to keep them under the thumb of the government. Because prisons make money off prisoners.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.